right. Got my water, got my huge stack of books. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you're here because today we are doing a library book haul. If you're anything like me, you are on a budget, and if you love books as much as I love books, you cannot drop hundreds of dollars. Let's be honest, I'd probably drop thousands, but you cannot drop hundreds of dollars on a daily basis on books. You wouldn't eat and you wouldn't be able to pay your bills. So that means we have to go find a library. Yes, I actually had a job in college at my college library, and it was one of my favorite jobs. I loved working in the library. It was so fun. And when I left college, I honestly totally forgot about libraries. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But about 2 years ago, I realized if I have a library card, I can have access to all of these books for free. So here's a little tip for you. If you like reading, if you don't like reading, get a library card. Get a library card, because not only do you have access to so many books, and if they don't have books in that particular library, you can request them. A lot of the books I have today, I got on hold from other libraries, but they have so many resources. So even if you're not into books, I highly suggest you support your local library, get a library card, and check it out. It is amazing, and I don't think you'll regret it. I have over 20 books today that I picked up from my local library, and even though I know that I am not going to finish all of these books in the time allotted to me, it makes me feel better to have access to all of these books, because I read across all genres. You name it, I'll read it. The only genre that's not my favorite is nonfiction, but today I have 2 nonfiction books here. So again, I read across all genres. Now, you have to know before you move forward, I am not a book reviewer. I am not like a bookstagrammer or book talker. If you look around my channel, you know that I talk about anything and everything because that's my life, and I see my life as a side quest, and I'm always doing something new and trying something new. So I want to have more of these videos because I personally love videos where people talk about what books they're reading, what books are interesting, what they thought about them, and so I'm gonna make one as well, mostly for me, but hopefully for you as well. Okay, so because I read so many different genres, I tried to break these up into sections that make some sense, but basically it's just going to be chaotic. So the first group is going to be, I guess it would be romance. They're not going to be hardcore romance, which is actually surprising. I usually have at least one, but this will just be romance-esque. Okay, so the first one is called Anatomy. The second one is actually out. It's called Immortality, and these book covers are just gorgeous, and you'll have to the library has these covers on them, so sometimes it's hard to see, but this one's by Dana Schwartz. This one looks so interesting. I have seen this going around for years, or however long it's been out, but I know it's been at least a year, if not longer, and I just think it's so interesting. The premise of this book follows the main character, whose name is Hazel. She wants to become a surgeon, but in this day and age, women are not allowed to be surgeons. She's kicked out of the classroom, and the main surgeon guy who doles out, their certificates or whatever, kicks her out and says, I will allow you to become a surgeon, but you have to pass the test. But of course, she can't be in the classroom. So she ends up teaming up with Jack, who I believe digs graves, and that's how she starts learning anatomy. Yes. But there's also a mystery involved, and obviously a love story, because the subtitle is a love story. It just sounds very unique, very interesting, and I guess technically it is a young adult book because it says Reese's YA book club. Can't wait to get to the second book, so I hope this one's good because I want to get to the second. All right, the next one, honestly, I picked up just because of the cover. Let's be honest, I pick a lot of books up based on the cover. This one I have not heard anything about really, but I am a huge nerd and I love Renaissance fairs. The Renaissance of Gwen Hathaway by Ashley Schumacher. Now this one looks really cute. I haven't heard much about this at all, but look how cute it is. One of the main reasons I picked this book up, honestly, is because the main character is a plus size character, and I love me some plus size romance books. I just love it. I'm here for it. I'm a curvier girl, and so sometimes it's really nice to see a little representation in that area. Gwen, her mother passed away, and her dad work at a Renaissance fair, and so when her mom passes away, basically new owners come in to the fair, and she kind of has this whole difficult time with the new ownership. But there's apparently a cute boy who wants to be her friend, and she's not sure. The only thing I know about this book, not much, but it just looks cute. Plus, I love anything with Renaissance fairs, so can't wait to read this one. I've never read this author before. The next book I have seen everywhere, absolutely everywhere. Barnes & Noble. I think it was one of Barnes & Noble's top picks for the year, or the year pick. I can't remember. I see it everywhere, and I have put it off. And I'm still not quite sure about it, but one of my friends who does not read, she read it. So I thought, why not? This one is called Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Honestly, I don't understand everything that's happening over here, but I'll just read you this short little bit. Chemist Elizabeth Zott is not your average woman. In fact, Elizabeth Zott would be the first to point out that there is no such thing as an average woman. But it's the early 1960s, and her all-male team at Hastings Research Institute takes a very unscientific view of equality, except for one, Calvin Evans, the lonely, brilliant Nobel Prize-nominated grudge holder who falls in love with, of all things, her mind. True chemistry results. And so life is unpredictable, and a few years later, Elizabeth is a single mom, and she ends up being on a cooking show, but this cooking show is all around chemistry and very interesting. I don't know, but basically everybody said they love it, and it's funny and it's goofy, but it also calls out some social norms. So I have no idea what I'm getting myself into in this one, but I keep seeing the cover, so I thought, why the heck not? All right, so the next genre, I guess I'm calling just like water-inspired, sea-inspired books that have a lot of water in them, primarily the sea. But the next is a set. I keep putting this off. I keep picking these books up and then putting them away or having to return them, but I'm hoping to actually get to them this time, and it is All the Tides of Fate and All the Stars and Teeth. All the Stars and Teeth. I think this is the first one. This is what it says. She will reign, a princess of the island kingdom Visidia. Amora Montara has spent her entire life training to be the High Animancer, the master of souls. The rest of the realm can choose their magic, but for Amora, it's never been a choice. To secure her place as heir to the throne, she must prove her mastery of the monarchy's dangerous soul magic. I don't know. It sounds very interesting. I don't really know anything about it, but anything at sea and magic and drama, heck yeah. For the next book, honestly, I picked this one up on a whim, and again, because of the cover, but when I read the description, it just sounded really, really cute. This is actually I think it's a middle grade. It's called Adrift, and this is by Tanya Guerrero, I believe. But it looks really, really cute. And basically, there are these two cousins that they usually spend their summers together, and one of them ends up getting washed up on a desert island, and she's there alone, and she has to figure out how to survive and make her way back home, while the other cousin is holding out hope for her. So it's kind of told in these alternating points of view, and so I cannot wait to read this one. It looks really good. It looks really interesting, and it takes place on an island. The last one in our water tour, I don't know, is called The Mermaid from Jeju. I probably said that wrong. Jeju? I'm not sure. But this one's by Sumi Han, looks like. And this one just looks very interesting. I'll read it to you. This is based on true events from Korea's Jeju Island. I'm going to butcher all of these names because Korean is not a dialect or language I am familiar with, but would love to be. So basically, this follows our main character, Go, I believe, and she is a deep sea diver, and I guess her whole family, it sounds like her whole family is, and she urges her mom to allow her to make, confident she is a woman now, Junja urges her mother to allow her to make the Go family's annual trip to Mount Hala, where they trade abalone and other sea delicacies for pork. Junja, a sea village girl, has never been to the mountains, where it smells like mushrooms and earth. While there, she falls in love with a mountain boy, Yang Suwol, who rescues her after a particularly harrowing journey. But when Junja returns one day later, it is just in time to see her mother take her last breath, beaten by the waves during the dive she was taking in Junja's place. So it just kind of talks about, this is a novel, it talks a little bit more about like her dealing and grappling with grief, and this one just seemed interesting to me. Sometimes I like a really like heart-gripping book. That's the last of our sea tour. This next grouping of books, I guess I would call horror, thriller, scary, I don't know, mystery type business. So this one is called Supermarket. This one looks very, very interesting. It's by Bobby Hall. And let's see. Flynn is stuck, depressed, recently dumped, and living at his mom's house. The supermarket was supposed to change all that. An ordinary job and a steady check. Work isn't work when it's saving you from yourself, but things aren't quite as they seem in the aisles. Arriving to work one day to a crime scene, Flynn's world collapses as the secrets of his tortured mind are revealed. So I don't know, that just seems really interesting. I keep seeing this on lists. I keep seeing it at Barnes & Noble. So I'm thinking, why not? So I picked that up. Okay, this next one, I have heard from multiple book reviewers is really freaking creepy, but I keep seeing the cover and it just looks so interesting. It's Pinata by Leopoldo Gout. Okay, Pinata. This looks creepy, like creepy. So let's see what it's about. It was supposed to be the perfect summer. Carmen Sanchez is back in Mexico supervising the renovation of an ancient abbey. Her daughters Itzel and Luna, too young to be left alone in New York, join her in what Carmen hopes is a chance for them to connect with their roots. Then an accident at the work site unearths a stash of rare century-old artifacts. Always a bad thing. Disaster costs Carmen her job, cutting the family trip short, but something malevolent and unexplainable follows them home to New York. Always stalking the Sanchez family and heralding a coming catastrophe. And it may already be too late to escape what has been awakened. Yeah, this looks terrifying. This one's called Shudder. This one is by Ramona Emerson. This just looks really, really interesting. Let me read the description to you. This follows Rita, who is our main character. She is a forensic photographer working for the Albuquerque Police Force, which that was one of the main reasons I wanted, because I'm from New Mexico. And so I was like, oh my gosh, yes, finally a book set in New Mexico. Thank you very much. Her excellent skills have cracked many cases. She is almost supernaturally good at capturing details. In fact, Rita has been hiding a secret. She sees the ghosts of crime victims who point her toward the clues that other investigators overlook. That sounds exciting. So basically there is another crime and a ghost of the victim that she's going to help out. and it sounds creepy and scary and all that fun stuff. All right, the next set is going to be science fiction / fantasy, because there's really only like one science fiction book in here, but that's okay. That is neither here nor there. This is a book I keep picking up at the library. Even before we moved here to Tulsa, I kept picking it up and then never getting to it, but I'm going to keep picking it up until I get to it, or at least read the first chapter and see if I like it. It's called The House Between Earth and the Moon. It just looks so interesting. This one is by Rebecca Sherm. And let us take a gander at what this book is about. The gripping story of one scientist in outer space, another who watches over him, the family left behind, and the lengths people will go to protect the people and planet they love. For 20 years, Alex has believed that his gene-edited superalgae will slow and even reverse the effects of climate change. His obsession with his research has jeopardized his marriage, his relationships, and with his kids, and his own professional future. When the Sun Sisters, founders of the colossal tech company Census, offer him a chance to complete his research, he seizes the opportunity. The catch? His lab will be in outer space on Parallaxis, the first ever luxury residential space station built for billionaires. Alex and 6 other scientists leave Earth and their loved ones to become pioneers, the beta tenants of Parallaxis. So, I don't know, it seemed interesting to me. It sounds like it'll be a little sad and dramatic, which kind of similar to the mermaid from Jeju, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sound thrilling to me, but it just keeps calling to me, so I keep checking it out. So we'll see what happens. Another book that I picked up solely because of the cover is called Last Tale of the Flower Bride. There it is. Roshani Chokshi. This one just seems very interesting, and I really don't care very much about what other authors say about a book because I want to know what it's about. But V.E. Schwab said she liked this book, and I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so I'll trust her on this one. Let us take a peek. A sumptuous Gothic-infused story about a marriage that is unraveled by dark secrets, a friendship cursed to end in tragedy, and the danger of believing in fairy tales. The breathtaking adult debut from New York Times bestseller author Roshani Chokshi. I don't know, I'm already hooked. Once upon a time, a man who believed in fairy tales married a beautiful, mysterious woman named Indigo Maxwell Castañeda. He was a scholar of myths. She was an heiress to a fortune. They exchanged gifts and stories and... Zeffy! Sorry, my dog was having a dream. They exchanged gifts and stories and believed they would live happily ever after. In exchange for her love, Indigo extracted a promise that her bridegroom would never pry into her past. So yeah, I mean, we got secrets, we've got fairy tales, we've just got a lot here. So that sounds very, very interesting. I guess that's kind of more in the romance. I guess I should have put that in the romance, but that's fine. This is a book I've seen everywhere, and people seem really, really interested in it. So this one is one I picked up because people have said only good things about it. It's a really big book though, so I'm hoping I get to it before I have to return it again. That's okay. The Shadow of What Was Lost. This one is by James Islington. I don't know. But it says, love the Wheel of Time. This is about to become your new favorite series. Now, I actually was not a fan of Wheel of Time. I loved the storyline, but I hated the writing. So I'm hoping that this one really will be like in that genre, but better. As destiny calls, a journey begins. It has been 20 years since the godlike augurs were overthrown and killed. Those Those who once served themselves, the gifted, were spared only after accepting the rebellion's 4 tenets, which vastly limited their powers. Davian suffers the consequences of a war lost before he was even born. When he discovers that he wields the forbidden power of the augurs, he sets into motion a chain of events that will change everything. To the west, a young man whose fate is intertwined with Davian's wakes up in a forest, covered in blood with no memory of who he is. And in the far north, an ancient enemy begins to stir. This is everything I want in a fantasy novel, in a fantasy book. And it's a series. I love series. It is a trilogy. So I'm really excited about this one. I have had multiple people ask me because they saw it on my shelf, how is it? And I was like, I don't know, I haven't started yet. This is also another book that is absolutely everywhere and everybody is absolutely obsessed with it. So I am hoping that it is as good as the hype, because I have bought in to the hype 100%. And that is The Priority of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This sucker is huge. Like, this is a huge, huge book. Massive. I honestly don't know anything about this book. And I kind of want to continue to go in. There we go. I kind of want to continue to go into it knowing nothing about it. So I'm not going to read the back because I just want to go in blind. But she has a second one. I believe it's the second to this one. I don't know if it's a separate book, but it's blue. So I'm excited. Can't wait to read this one. I am a fast reader, but this was going to take me a while. So we'll see how that goes. All right. These next two I found at the library. Never heard of them. Have not seen them anywhere at Barnes & Noble, on Book Talk, Bookstagram. So this was just kind of oh, that looks interesting. So it comes in a set. This one is called Orphea. I think it's Orphea. And then this one is called A Pocket Full of Crows. Not sure which one is first yet. I haven't figured that out yet. But it's by Joanne M. Harris. And let me just read you the back of this one. I believe this one's the first one. And it says, so begins a beautiful and tragic quest as a heartbroken mother sets out to save her lost daughter through the realms of the real, of dream, and even into the underworld itself. But determination alone is not enough, for to save something so precious, she must give up something precious, be it a song, a memory, or her freedom itself. Beautifully illustrated by Bonnie Helen Hawkins, this is a stunning and original modern fairy tale. And there are these really beautiful illustrations in them. So I don't know, it just looks really, look at some of these things. It's just beautiful. So, honestly, I have no idea. The second one says, love made her a prisoner, revenge will set her free. A modern fairy tale of love, loss, and revenge. This is a perfect modern classic. So, I think this is a second one to this one. Sounds good. Come on. Come on. Really? Holy cow. Okay. Wow, my camera would not focus. The next two books also come in a set. Again, I know very little about these, and this is another set of books that I think I want to go in kind of blind and just jump right in without reading the description. And that is Heart of the Sun Warrior, and then the second one is Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I'm pretty sure these go together. And this is by Su Lin Tan. So this just looks so good. I honestly don't know much about it at all, about these, but they just look good and beautiful, and so I'll let you know how these go. Don't know anything about them. That's the way I like it. We are getting to the end here. The next two books are actually nonfiction books. They're books that just looked interesting to me or somebody told me about. The first one is Jesus and John Wayne. This one is by Kristen Kobes Dumez. And it says how white evangelicals corrupted a faith and fractured a nation. just seems very, very interesting. I want to read about that, and I think a lot of us can relate to that subtitle. So yeah, as somebody whose faith is really important to her, but who's also experienced significant hurt from the church, I think this looks interesting. I'd like to read it. And one of my pastor friends said he really loved it and that he really enjoyed it and thought there were some really thought-provoking things in there. So I'm going to read and see what happens. The second nonfiction book that honestly I saw at Barnes & Noble and then I found at my library, so that's even better, is called The Black Count. This is by Tom Rees, and this is Glory, Revolution, Betrayal, and the Real Count of Monte Cristo. So I'm gonna have to read this to you because I can't describe it. It just sounds so interesting to me, and I don't like nonfiction books generally. A man almost unknown today, yet with a personal story that is strikingly familiar. His swashbuckling exploits appear in The Three Musketeers, and his triumphs and trials inspired The Count of Monte Cristo, both books written by his son. What? Yet it is for one reason in particular that General Alex Dumas deserved to stand in history's spotlight. Alone among his race, he chose to command vast armies in an audacious campaign across Europe and the Middle East, and in his triumph and ultimate betrayal, we see how dangerous one individual can be to an entire way of life. So basically, if I'm getting this right, Alexander Dumas, his dad, was black. I believe he was born to a black slave mother and a fugitive white French nobleman. So basically everything that Alexander Dumas wrote about in The Three Musketeers, Man in the Iron Mask, and Count of Monte Cristo, specifically Count of Monte Cristo and Three Musketeers, was based on his dad. I didn't know that. So this just looked freaking interesting. I love Alexander Dumas. I loved all three of his books. They're phenomenal. They were one of the few classics I actually really, really enjoyed reading. I do love me some classics, as you can see, but sometimes the classics that are required reading, I'm like, can we pick a different one? Can we please pick some other ones? So this one just looks interesting, and I really cannot wait to read this one. And I don't like nonfiction, so it's got to be good. All right, and then I am a huge sucker for graphic novels or manga. Love it. Actually, through the library, and maybe your library has it too, there are apps that are connected to your library card where you can listen to audiobooks. You can read comic books, manga, graphic novels. Sometimes they'll even let you watch anime. So while I do get graphic novels, a lot of the ones I'm reading right now are actually on my phone, which is fine. This is actually on Netflix now. It's called Tresse, and they are graphic novels. They had all four. I think there's more than four now, but they had four. Rarely at the library can you get graphic novels or manga that starts at one, because usually somebody has come along and grabbed the first two or three. It's really annoying. But this one looks really, really interesting. Basically, you've got a lot of like monsters and ghouls and all these different things. And Tresse is kind of like a police officer, investigator specifically for that. So there's a mystery going on. Don't know exactly what's happening. This one is more gory. So if you are not into the gore, which honestly I am not like massively into gore and violence. I'm not like, yay, I love gore and violence. But this one looked very, very interesting. I actually watched the first season on Netflix, not knowing that it was a graphic novel. So when I saw these, I thought, oh, that's really cool. And I did like the Netflix show. Again, warning, if you're not into like scary or blood and guts and stuff like that, maybe skip that show because it's a little more on the violent side. But I'm excited about these. One of my favorite movies ever is Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. It is such a sleeper movie. Most people hated it. It did not get a lot of high reviews, but I was able to find some of the original. This is actually a graphic novel that they made into a movie. And so I was actually able to find this at the library. So I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of cool to just see what the movie was inspired by. So just some, and it's kind of an older one, but just it's just really cool. It's different from like the typical manga that I'm used to, or the graphic novels that I'm used to. So I'm excited to kind of just scroll through this and just kind of see how it compares to the movie, because the movie obviously was a standalone. And they didn't make any more, which I'm kind of sad about, but what are you gonna do? Oh, I forgot to add. I'm actually reading Stephen King's Fairy Tale. I have it over there, but I'm not going to get up and go get it. I'm really liking that one so far. I actually, as much as I've seen a lot of Stephen King films, I have never read Stephen King. I'm liking his style so far. I'm really enjoying it. It's very interesting. And I've been able to move through that, so I will give a review on that as well when I get through it. But that is my library book haul, and until next time, I hope you found some that maybe you'd be interested in. But I'd love to know, what are you reading? What are your favorite genres? What do you get into? Are you an audiobook person? Are you a physical book person? I would love to know. But until we see you, enjoy your day and see you soon. Bye.